Hi. There are so many things to see in the world. Big things and little things. Everything that you see in the world has to be big or little. Which am I? I'm little next to sea or sky, but big next to a bee or fly. Big or little, which am I? Next to a house I'm small, next to a mouse I'm tall. Big or little, which am I? Big or little, which am I? But big next to a bee or fly, big or little, which am I? Next to a house I'm small, next to a mouse I'm tall. Big or little, which am I? Big or little, which am I? When I'm at the seashore, everything is so big, the long stretch of beach, the sky and the ocean, that I feel very, very little. The waves tower high, and they make me feel so small. I've decided that I won't go in today at all, until down at my feet I can see a little fish, and then I feel so big I look big to that fish. Then I say to the waves, be as smashing as you wish, for I'm pretty big, I look big to a fish. I look big to an oyster, or a lobster, or clam. I look big to a crab, or a snail. Well, I am. I'm big and I'm brave, I'm the giant of the sea. You're a small little wave and you can't scare me. And I shout to the waves, be as smashing as you wish, for I'm pretty big, I look big to a fish. Of course, some fish are very big, especially the one I caught. I caught a fish the other day, a great big fish that got away. I think it was a cod, for it broke my fishing rod. How big was it, would you say? It was bigger than a dog or cat or billy goat. Yes, yes, yes. It was bigger than the captain of the fishing boat. Yes, yes, yes. It was bigger than a table, it was bigger than a chair. It was bigger than a camel or a tiger or a bear. It was bigger than a wagon full of hay, but it got away. I caught a fish the other day, a great big fish that got away. I think it was an eel, for I heard it give a squeal.
Eels don't squeal.
Well, maybe it was a pig. Anyway, it was big. How big was it, would you say? It was bigger than a porpoise or an octopus. Yes, yes, yes. It was bigger than a walrus or rhinoceros. Yes, yes, yes. It was bigger than a tractor. It was bigger than a tree. It was bigger than my daddy.
Come on now, really?
Well, anyway, it was bigger than me. It was bigger than the biggest horse and sleigh, but it got away. I caught a fish the other day, a great big fish that got away. I think it was a shark, for I heard it give a bark.
Sharks don't bark.
Well, maybe it was a dogfish then. How big was it, would you say? It was bigger than a battleship or a streamlined train. Yes, yes, yes. It was bigger than a rocket or an aeroplane. Yes, yes, yes. It was bigger than an iceberg or Niagara Falls. It was bigger than a dinosaur or giant tall. It was bigger than the harbor or the bay. But it got away. I caught a fish the other day, a great big fish that got away. I think it was a whale, for I saw its great white tail. How big was it, would you say? It was bigger than Grand Canyon or the Empire State. Yes, yes, yes. It was bigger far than Pikes Peak or the Golden Gate. Yes, yes, yes. It was bigger than a river or a mountain high. It was bigger than the ocean or the earth or sky. 'Twas the biggest ever since the day the world began. Anything you think of, it was bigger than.
The world?
Much bigger.
The universe?
Even bigger than that, if that's possible, and that isn't possible. I could name you more, but it would take all day. When I rest at the beach, I play a game about big things that are made of many little things. Like this. How many pennies are there in a nickel? 5. How many nickels are there in a dime? Just 2. How many dimes are there within a dollar? 10. Now here's another one for you to do. How many minutes are there in an hour? 60. How many hours are there in a day? 24. How many days are in a week? Just 7. Weeks in a year, just 52, no more. Now those answers are the same every time, so that's an easy game. But here's a game of big and little, where you'll have to guess, unless you want to spend about 1,440 days. That's 4 years counting. How many cornstalks in a field of corn? How many sand grains in a dune? How many grasses in a grassy lawn? How many mountains on the moon? How many petals on a dandelion? How many branches are there on a tree? How many quills are on a porcupine? How many drops are in the sea? 95 quadrillion, 64 zillion, 822 billion, 700 million, 800,633 and a half. How many flakes in a whirling snowstorm? How many pebbles on the shore? How many trees in a deep dark forest? 74 or maybe more. How many clouds are in a cloudy sky? How many raindrops are there in a cloud? How many apples in an apple pie? How many people in a crowd? How many licks are in a lollipop? How many pieces in a cake? How many drips are in a lemon drop? How many bites are in a steak? How many bubbles in a bubbly drink? How many cornflakes are there in a box? How many spills are in a jar of ink? How many stitches in your socks? 502, well, quite a few. How many spoons in a bowl of sugar? How many chews in chewing gum? How many sips in a cup of cocoa? 71, well, quite a sum. How many bricks are in a big brick wall? How many footsteps are there in a walk? How many falls are in a waterfall? How many words are in a talk? More or less, take a guess, a great big guess. Then I take another swim, And then it's time to go home. And on the way, I found a very little seed, what kind I do not know. I planted it, and now I wait for something big to grow. Each day I wonder what will grow. It's something very big, I know. I hope that it's a hollyhock, the tallest of them all. So very tall that next to it Jack's beanstalk would look small. Each day I wonder what will grow. It's something very big, I know. Or maybe it's a pumpkin round, the biggest ever seen, as big as Cinderella's coach to use on Halloween. So each day I wonder what will grow. It's something very big, I know. Perhaps a great big apple tree where all the apples shine, because they're made of gold, you see, and all of them are mine. Each day I wonder what will grow, a flower red or blue, a pumpkin or an apple tree. I wonder what don't you? While we're waiting for that little seed to grow, let's stop at a Topsy Turvy Zoo, where the little animals grow big and the big animals grow little. Can you grow little? Well, anyway, some of these animals did at the Topsy Turvy Zoo. The squirrel and the rabbit and the chipmunk grew until they were as big as a kangaroo. The squirrel is as big as a kangaroo at the Topsy Turvy Zoo. It's hard to believe it until you see the ant that's as big as a chimpanzee. It's hard to believe, but it's really true. There's a Topsy Turvy Zoo. The mice are tremendous, giraffes are small, the lions are little and the pigeons tall. The pigeons all roar and the lions coo at the Topsy Turvy Zoo. We'd stand at the cages for hours and stare at bumblebees bigger than polar bears. The bumblebee's big as a bear, it's true, at the Topsy Turvy Zoo. The frog is as large as a giant whale. The elephant's tinier than a snail. The elephant's tiny and the ape is too at the Topsy Turvy Zoo. The worm is as big as a crocodile. Whenever I think of it, how I smile, remembering the fun that I had with you at the Topsy Turvy Zoo. Remembering the fun that I had with you at the Topsy Turvy Zoo. Time to go to sleep now.
Can't I stay up just a little later?
Someday you may, when you're bigger. I can't reach the mail or the ketchup on the shelf. I'm too small to do things entirely by myself. Every time I ask for something, I am told, someday you may, when you're bigger and old. When can I stay up late? Someday you may when you're bigger. When I am 7 or 8, someday they say when I'm bigger. How can I ever wait for that day far away when I'm bigger? When will I go to school all day? You may when you're bigger. Swim in a swimming pool someday, they say when I'm bigger. When can I use Dad's tools on some day far away when I'm bigger? It seems I have to wait for years for everything I like, to go to movies, cross the road, or ride a two-wheel bike. When will I ever grow? Someday you'll grow bigger. Know all I want to know. Someday they say when I'm bigger. Go where I want to go. Someday they say when I'm bigger.
I'm bigger right now than I was yesterday, but smaller than I will be tomorrow. Big or little, which am I?
Everything that you see in the world has to be big or little. Which am I? I'm little next to sea or sky, but big next to a bee or fly. Big or little, which am I? Next to a house I'm small, next to a mouse I'm tall. Big or little, which am I? Big or little, which am I?